seconds remaining in the fourth quarter of game 3. 4 seconds. Ionescu will heave and hit and hit. Sabrina Ionescu.
Can we talk about the WNBA Finals? Can we talk about buzzer beaters? Can we say thank you, Sabrina Ionescu? Clock running down, and she fires the shot that made everyone, at least the Liberty fan, quite joyous. Liberty 80, Link 77, 2-1 lead in the finals. And for long-suffering New York Liberty fans like myself, who's been a fan from the rip, one more game, and that Simeon is off all our backs. Finally, a WNBA championship, and it's right there for the taking. One more game, we finish it off. To quote Droopy Dog, you know what? I'm happy. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay-Webb, and yes, New York Liberty fan since Rebecca Lobo first graced the court back in '97, and I can tell you, quite pleased, quite happy. But I'm not happy about the continuing situation in college volleyball. The Mountain West forfeit crisis has grown this week. Players for the University of Nevada, according to the conservative sports website Outkick, voted on Monday that they will not play in the scheduled October 26th match against San Jose State University, again caught in the hysteria over San Jose State allegedly having a player who is a transgender woman on their team. Never mind that the NCAA already has rules on this, assuming that she is trans. Again, the player in question has not announced her gender identity in any regard, even though she's played NCAA Division I college volleyball for 3 seasons now. The interesting plot twist is what the University of Nevada, Reno is actually saying. The university said in a statement that the views of the players are not those of the university and that the game will go on as scheduled October 26th. Now, here's the question. How is that going to happen if none of the players want to play? Because what's been reported is most of the players do not want to play. You know something? I'd like to give the University of Nevada and their athletic department an idea. Since a number of players, including some of their top players, have already said they won't play on October 26th, I say fine. Now, those players have a game scheduled for Thursday night. They play at Boise State. What they need to see is their athletic director meet them when they get off the plane. After that athletic director has put up a full-page ad in the Nevada Sagebrush, the independent campus student-run newspaper there, saying this: all students who are interested in playing Division I women's volleyball for the University of Nevada, please be at Virginia Street Gym at 6 a.m. Saturday morning for a tryout session. And when those players get off that plane or that bus or however they travel to Boise, the athletic director would meet them and say simply, you have till 6 a.m. Saturday morning to tell me whether you're playing October 26th. If you're not, your jersey will be worn by somebody who's probably playing dorm volleyball or someone who played high school volleyball and figured their career is over. They're going to get a second bite of the apple in your uniform. And that will start with their next match coming up on October 24th against Fresno State. Now, some people will ask, what happens to the players who are already on scholarship? Well, the scholarships are still good till the end of the year. Remember, NCAA scholarships are not 4-year deals, they're year-to-year deals. So you would still get to keep your scholarship. All the players that we bring in to replace you would be walk-ons. But we would give a guarantee to all those players that come next fall, if you're an underclassman, you will get the opportunity to earn a scholarship. Now, the players who are currently on scholarship or on the team, we let them know you've got 2 choices. You either, one, if you choose to play at this university, understand that you are not guaranteed a scholarship next year. You will really have to come back and earn it. Your other option is you can always hit the transfer portal. Personally, we kind of hope you hit the portal. Hashtag just saying. We really don't want those who are for exclusion and bigotry wearing our navy blue and silver at the University of Nevada. That is what I would like to see. And there's a way you could do it and galvanize an entire campus and also send a message that we will not be blackmailed by people who are trying to sell an anti-trans agenda and can't tell you that openly, because that's what's really been happening through all these forfeits. The University of Nevada has the opportunity to do what a lot of universities, the Mountain West Conference, and the NCAA haven't done. Stand with some fortitude. On the other side, there's a question. I have a question for San Jose State's administration. Why is Brooke Slusser, the captain and team setter who's gone on Outkick and Breitbart and all these different news sources, but won't talk to the San Francisco Chronicle about her contentions about the student athlete in question? Why is this kid still on your team? To me, she did something unforgivable. If this player is trans, and again, this player, supposedly identified as Brooke Fleming, had not said a word about their gender identity, and they played college volleyball for 3 years. Let's make sure we understand that fact. This kid either did one of two things: outed this kid, which is bad, or bore false witness on this kid, which is just as bad. Why is Brooke Slusser on this team? And you can't tell me that this isn't affecting the team, because currently San Jose State is in the middle of a 3-game tailspin, and they haven't looked good doing it. They have played 10 sets the last 3 games. They've lost 9 of those. They've lost every match. Something must be going on in that locker room. You see, I talked to Sid Ziegler at Outsports about this a few days ago. And Sid said, in the locker room, there's all types of people in the locker room. There are sexist, misogynist, and racist in the locker room. And yes, there is. There are those type of people in workplaces all over the world. There are people you just don't get along with. But it's one thing when someone has their views but doesn't bring it into the office, but they have them. It's another thing when they broadcast those views all over the place to the detriment of your team. And for me, that's the dividing line. I don't know about anybody else, but if I was the head coach at San Jose State, it'd be a cold day in hell before Brooke Slusser played for me. Hashtag just saying. Campaign 2024 and the anti-trans nonsense just keeps going. Over $65 million of it, according to the New York Times, brought to you by the Republicans.
Transphobia for a stronger America.
And one of those in the thick of it all, incumbent Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Now, Ted Cruz has been on a big ad buy in the last couple weeks to try and fend off his challenger, Democratic Representative Colin Allred, by trying to paint Colin Allred in a very negative light with a number of anti-trans ads. One of the biggest was done by a surrogate group for Senator Cruz, who showed a likeness of Colin Allred, a former NFL player, mind you, wiping out a girls' high school flag football player and trying to say that's what happens when you have boys playing in girls' sports, or what they really don't want to say, transgender girls playing with cisgender girls. The usual anti-trans nonsense. Now, Representative Allred made a response a couple days after this ad went out on the airwaves.
Ted Cruz is lying again, but now he's lying about our children. I'm a dad. I'm also a Christian. And my faith has taught me that all kids are God's kids. So let me be clear. I don't want boys playing girls' sports or any of this ridiculous stuff that Ted Cruz is saying.
In a word, yikes. Allred was criticized for this ad, and I'll say rightfully so, because, yes, I understand. He's a dad. He's a Christian. And immediately fell right into the trap that Senator Cruz laid by basically getting him to, in effect, agree with something that he may or may not agree with, but do it because, like a lot of Democrats, they feel they have to do that because it's politically expedient. Now, fast forward to Tuesday, Texas Senate debate, locally televised one via WFAA in Dallas. And this time, Representative Allred came with a different tune. Let's check out the exchange.
He said not a word about his own record. I have to admit, the beginning of it, it reminded me of Kamala Harris in her debates, answering everything. Look, I was born in the middle class. It's some lines that sound nice that ignore his record. Let's just talk about his voting record. Again, you can go to allredfacts.com. You can see the actual votes. 4 times he has come out for men playing in women's sports, for boys playing in girls' sports. He is a co-sponsor, and he voted for a law called the Equality Act. The Equality Act mandated that boys be able to go in girls' bathrooms, in their locker rooms, and their changing rooms. He voted for it. That is his record. Number 2, there was a bill. It was a very simple bill. It was narrowly defined. It was protecting women and girls' sports. He voted no. The only issue on that bill was whether biological boys should compete against our daughters. That's not fair. Congressman Allred was an NFL linebacker. It is not fair for a man to compete against women. The 3rd time he signed on to something called the Transgender Bill of Rights. Transgender Bill of Rights explicitly, and he co-sponsored it, mandated that boys compete against girls' sports. And just 2 weeks ago, Congressman Allred joined 100 radical Democrats in demanding that our military allow drag shows on military bases, pay for soldiers to have sex changes using taxpayer money, and pay for children to be sterilized and have sex changes on military bases. Again, that's extreme. That's not Texas,
Senator,
but that is his voting record.
Senator, that's your time.
Yeah.
Congressman,
Thank you.
there's a lot to respond to there. What, you have 60 seconds.
I mean, it's a lot. And I stand here as a proxy for millions of Texans who are sick and tired of this act. You know, when Ted Cruz starts talking about team sports, you got to watch out, because the only position he ever played was left out. And I'm not trying to be mean, Senator, but sit this one out, please. Listen, I don't support boys playing girls' sports. I don't.
Why'd you vote for
No,
it?
stop. Let me
speak.
speak. What I think is that folks should not be discriminated against. And what Senator Cruz should try to explain to you is why he thinks they should. But ultimately, what he's trying to do is a little game called distraction, to distract you from his record of doing horrific things to folks in this state, of abandoning us when we need him most, of not being there when we need him. That's what he's trying to do, and that's why he's spending so much time on this.
Not perfect, not as strident as I'd like it to be, but it was better. Representative Allred came out and made the extra statement. The extra statement that I think more people needed to hear. Perfect statement, no. But a pushback, definitely. And this falls in line with what happened with a number of candidates back in 2022. Remember, the Republicans have tried this gambit before. The anti-trans gambit 2 years ago didn't work. One of the textbook examples was Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. Beshear was hit with a barrage of anti-trans ads, but instead of trying to play politically expedience, he took it on head on. And the result was a Democrat got a resounding win in a statewide race in a very red state. And it was definitive. Fast forward to now. And Wednesday night, Fox News, the Democratic standard bearer for the highest office in the land, Vice President Kamala Harris, was hit with the same nonsense. And she chested up to it too. Check it out.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what, you got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think he spent $20 million on those ads trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people?
The moral of the story, it's not going to be perfect. We don't expect to be perfect, but we hope that you say something.
I interrupt transposition sports because I'm cute and I can't. And for this message from the angry gay grandpa. You don't pay me enough for this, Carly.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
Love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
And now to an expansion team making their first misstep, and they haven't even started play yet. Boss Nation FC, expansion team in the National Women's Soccer League, set to start in 2026, had their launch this week. First, there's that name. There's supposed to be a palindrome on Bostonians. May need a little bit of work there. But what was worse was this.
Boston, the city of champions, a legacy filled with trophies, banners, rings, and balls. Old balls, new balls, steel balls, cold balls, even goat balls.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Boston loves its balls. But maybe there are too many balls in this town. So let's add a new chapter to our city's legacy. With new idols, new dreams, and a new league to cheer for, the National Women's Soccer League. For every person in every neighborhood across every square mile, this is our city, our new team, our new nation. We are Boss Nation, where anything is possible. No balls necessary. Well,
Needless to say, this drew a lot of heat and from a lot of different corners and a lot of criticism. This is supposed to be a women's team. Why exactly are we talking about balls? Some people cite it as just very behind the times. That's the way I saw it. This would have gotten probably a giggle in the locker room back in 1985. But others saw deeper overtones. Some saw it as transphobic, and given the tenor of the times, that's an understandable feeling. Now, to the credit of the team, the high command of Boss Nation FC issued an apology where they basically said, we goofed it, we made a mistake, we missed, we're going to listen to our fans, we're going to do better. And they made it a point to point out that they apologized to the LGBTQIA fandoms and supporters groups that have already started to form, even though this team doesn't take a field until 2026, and I made a point to reach out to transgender people who may become fans of this team and say, we missed, and we're sorry, and we're going to do better. It's a good mea culpa, and it's a good start. Let's hope that Boss Nation FC, or whatever name they're going to be in, personally, I hope it's a good name. Oh, just a little hint. Boston Coven. Think about that. I kind of like it. Hopefully, whatever name this team takes and whatever shape this team takes, they continue to work on this, improve, and do better.
If you're an openly trans athlete, you may as well just paint a red and white target on you. Because you're going to have the modern day lynch mob come after you. Whether you're in a swimming pool, whether you're in Rhode Island and you're just two people that want to run around a track, whether you're in Texas and you just want to play high school flag football, you're going to have the nonsense mongering brigade come after you just because you exist. Just because you exist.
You'll know that voice from anywhere. It's the voice of Phoebe Rose, the host of Transition Stories and Transition Journeys. Now, in her 6th season of sitting down with anyone and everyone and just getting their stories. One of my favorite watches. I think you'll enjoy it too. Now, this week, I get to step into her domain like we announced last month. Kind of think of it as exchange. I'm stepping into her spot and she's stepping into mine. And here at Transposition Sports, she joins us on this week before the United States Grand Prix in Austin, Texas, to talk about our favorite things, Grand Prix racing, and being glad just to be. We're in Texas, and we're coming into Texas at a time where Constructors Championship still very much in the air, and the Drivers' Championship. Do you think Verstappen is starting to consolidate his hold on the title, or could say Leclerc or Norris have a chance?
Oh, Verstappen's going to bin it. He's going to bin it because he doesn't understand how to drive the championship. We saw that very much in Austria when he was unable to drive the championship. And that will be his downfall.
Now, now, when you say driving the championship, what do you mean here? For the uninitiated?
So we go back to the Jensen Buttons of this world, who drove the championship in the second half of the season in 2009, where he drove to win the championship.
So, another points race, as we would call in NASCAR, points racing.
Yeah, points racing. What the 10-8, 6-4, 3-2-1 championship points scenario caused. Nobody going for the win, just points racing, because it's 2 points, who cares? Whereas now, I don't think Max quite understands that, because he has this bizarre belief that he has every right to win every race, an entitlement, so to speak, to win every race. But he hasn't won in 7 races. And
he's got 7 wins.
He can have 7 more wins if he really wants, but he hasn't won in 7 races. And I think that this is where you show your characters to if you're a true great driver. Can you take machinery that isn't necessarily the greatest machinery and win it? And I don't think that Max is quite able to realise that he no longer has the greatest machinery out there. Whereas if you look at other people driving other cars in the past, when you had Schumacher in a 96 Ferrari and you had Lewis in a 09-10 McLaren, those drivers winning races back then, Senna and a Tolman at Monaco that year. That's the kind of drive that you can't really point to with Max in his career. You can't point to a race.
Or another good example, Senna in 92 with a McLaren that decidedly was not the best in the field, but was fighting every race.
Yeah. Or Schumacher with only fifth gear at the British Grand Prix in 1995, where he only had fifth gear. He was stuck with just fifth gear, and he was still able to drive the sodding thing. And I don't think that you can point to a race like that with Max.
You feel Max is at the point where all of a sudden, where the aura of invincibility that we've seen from Max in recent years,
and we have seen from the Christian Horner machine, has fallen apart, because it's very telling how petty Christian Horner has got again. Very quickly with Zach Brown, very quickly with other teams up and down the pit lane again. 2021 was an unedifying nonsense for Formula One, and it was an unedifying nonsense because
Phoebe, here we go.
Because Christian Horner and Red Bull and Toto Wolff and Mercedes behaved like children in the playground. It was who can be pettier than the other one, who can find something wrong, who can do this. It was an unedifying mess because neither team respected the other.
Is McLaren the team of the future?
It's the team of now. It's the team of today and tomorrow. So that there are two teams that will run the table next year. And Christian Horner and Toto Wolff aren't at that table.
So you're saying it's going to be a McLaren Ferrari fight for the title?
It's going to be Zach Brown and Mattia Binotto. As simple as that. They will be running the table.
Well, right now, according to the constructor standings, it's McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes.
Yeah. So next season, Red Bull won't be anywhere. Red Bull will be a nice third if they're lucky. Other teams have caught them up and have overtaken them.
Now,
and it's good for Formula One, and that's good for Formula One.
You've got a show coming up. What is it about this Carly Webb person that interests you enough to actually sit on your farm?
You're not me. You don't look like me. You don't sound like me. You don't have the background of me. You're not the same age as me. You're not me. And the more we look in the mirror and see not yourself, the better the world will be. You are not me. You couldn't be any more different than me. I'm an Anglo-Irish white Jew. Well, white passing Jew of North African descent. You're from the middle of America. You're older than I am, and you've had life experiences up the wazoo that are different to mine. And that is why you are a person I want sat in my show. I don't want 50 Phoebe Rose people sat in my chair, because nobody would tune in and I would learn nothing.
And that leads me to my next question. Because now you're living in this country in full.
The United States, for those of you who don't realize.
Living in the United States. And I'm still wondering why you picked the United States. That's a different question for a different show.
Horses for courses, that one?
Well, I know you moved here for love. I know that.
I did.
But what's your thoughts on two things? First, if you've been keeping up in sports, this nonsense, the situation in regards to teens forfeiting because of someone who they think is trans.
It's no different to having the Negro Leagues. Excuse my use of that term, but that is what they were called. It's no different to that. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It's Iran intentionally turning up late because it was drawn against Israel. It's sport, and I'm gonna catch flack for that statement that I just made. I know I will. I'm not defending the existence of Israel or Iran here, for that matter. What I'm making is an analogy here that it's sport. And to start bringing the levels of politics that have been brought into it is absurd. I mean, the grift machine of these idiots out there is unbelievable. And the only truth about this whole situation is that the stories that they want to believe are the only ones they care about, are the ones manufactured in their own heads. Reality be damned. Truth be damned. The manufactured story in their heads is the only one that matters. And it doesn't matter how much reason you come up with, how much evidence you come up with, it's all irrelevant. Because they haven't reasoned themselves into this position. And therefore you can't reason them out of it. So the only way around it is to sanction them. And to say to these teams, you play by our rules and you play every other team, or you get out. And that's it.
Ending things up here at Transposition Sports.
Excuse me, read my contract, Carly. I'm supposed to get some FaceTime on this show.
Okay, Kirby, go ahead.
This is Kirby the Cat with an update on something we had for you last week. Told you about Brittany Miller, founder of the Puget Sound Pronouns. Great season she had. Carly told you all about it. Well, she's playing for the Seattle Revolution at the Gay World Series and they're cleaning it up right now. She's batting 1,000. She's driven home a gazillion runs, and the team's looking real good as they head into bracket play for Class C starting on Friday through the weekend.
Swing for the fences, Ms. Miller, and good luck, Revolution. For Transposition Sports, I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb.